Hello everyone, myself Professor Seema RB from KLS VDIT Haryana. So today I will be dealing with the subject hydrology and irrigation engineering, and I will be explaining you the seventh lecture of this particular subject. So the topics covered in the previous class was phi index, W index and W minimum index. And the topics to be covered in this particular session will be on runoff, introductions to runoff, definitions and methods of estimating runoff from basins. So let us discuss about the runoff. Runoff can be described as the part of the water cycle that flows over land as surface water instead of being absorbed into groundwater or evaporating. According to US Geological Survey, runoff is that part of precipitation, snow melt or irrigation water that appears in uncontrolled surface streams, rivers, drains or sewers. Let us discuss the effect of runoff and what affect the runoff. Amount of rainfall, permeability, vegetation, slope are going to affect the runoff. Now let us discuss one by one. When precipitation occurs on land, a part of it is intercepted by vegetation and some part of it is stored as depression storage. A part of precipitation infiltrates into the ground. The rate of infiltration depends on the nature of the soil moisture, content in the soil, topography, etc. If the rate of precipitation is greater than the rate of infiltration, then the rainfall in excess of infiltration will start flowing over the ground surface and is known as overland flow. When overland flow is occurring, infiltration and evaporation may also occur. When overland flow reaches a well-defined stream, it is known as surface runoff. A portion of infiltrating water will satisfy soil moisture deficiency. A portion may move in soil but very close to the surface. If this water reaches a well-defined stream, it is known as interflow or a subsurface flow. Another portion of infiltration may percolate deeper into the soil to reach groundwater table. Under favorable conditions, some of the groundwater may reach the streams and this portion is known as base flow or a groundwater flow. A part of precipitation may occur directly on stream surface and this is known as channel precipitation. Hence, total runoff is nothing but it is equal to surface runoff plus interflow plus base flow plus channel precipitation. It is also evident that evaporation always occurs along with transpiration. Hence, precipitation is the product of runoff and evaporation, and precipitation is also equal to the sum of surface runoff, interflow, base flow, channel precipitation, and evaporation. So the factors which are going to affect runoff are amount of rainfall. The amount of rainfall directly affects the amount of runoff. As expected, if more rainfall hits the ground, more rainfall will turn into runoff. The same can be said about snow melt. If a large amount of snow melt in a short time period, there will be a large number of amount of runoff. Next comes the permeability. The ability of the ground surface to absorb water will affect how many surface area or a surface runoff occurs. If you have ever poured water on a sand, you may have noticed it sinks into the sand almost instantaneously. On the other hand, if you pour water on a street, the water will not sink but run off to the gutter or a ditch. The less water the ground can absorb, the more runoff of the surface there will be. This is called permeability. A surface with a high absorption ability has high permeability, and a surface with a low absorption ability has low permeability. Next, vegetation. Vegetation needs water to survive, and a plant root system is designed to absorb water from the soil. There is less runoff in high vegetated areas because the water is used by the plants instead of flowing off the surface of the ground. Next, slope. The slope of a surface is also important to amount of rainfall runoff there will be. The steeper a surface is, the faster it will flow down the slope. A flat surface will allow the water time to absorb. Next comes the erosion. As runoff progresses, it can collect the things that are in its way, transport them and drop them off somewhere downstream when the water slows down. Moving water is a strong force that is able to move these objects. Small runoff is able to move lightweight items such as leaves and pebbles, whereas large runoff like a flash flood, it is able to wash away cars and even houses. Now let us discuss about the definitions. Total runoff. This is the part of precipitation which appears in streams. It consists of surface runoff, interflow, base flow, and channel precipitation. Surface runoff, which is also indicated as SRO. This is the part of overland flow which reaches the streams. The next definition is direct runoff, which is termed as DRO. It consists of surface runoff, interflow, and channel precipitation, but it does not include base flow. Since channel precipitation is small and interflow is uncertain, it is usual to include these two runoffs in surface runoff, and hence there is no difference between direct runoff and surface runoff. Therefore, total runoff is the product of surface runoff and base flow. Since the base flow occur in the stream after a long period of time compared to surface runoff, it is necessary to separate the base flow and surface runoff in preparing hydrographs. The next definition is hydrograph. A hydrograph is a plot of the runoff or a drainage in a stream versus time. Hydrographs may be developed for isolated or complex storms using stream gauging data. The area under the hydrograph gives the total volume of runoff and each ordinate gives the discharge at the instant considered. It also indicates the peak discharge and the time base of the flood in the stream. Next comes the rainfall excess. This is the portion of rainfall appearing in the stream as surface runoff. Effective rainfall. This is the portion of rainfall which appears in the stream and the sum of surface runoff. Interflow and channel precipitation. Since channel precipitation is small and interflow is uncertain, it is usual to include these two runoffs in surface runoff. Thus, rainfall excess and effective rainfall may be considered to be the same. It should be taken into care that surface runoff should be equal to precipitation minus sum of interception plus depression storage plus evaporation and infiltration. Next, let us discuss about the channel storage. Now let us discuss about the channel storage. As a runoff occurs in the stream, the water level will rise along the length of the stream. Thus, a large volume of water is temporarily stored in the channel. This is known as channel storage. It reduces or moderates flood peaks. The channel storage therefore causes delay in appearance of discharge at any section of the stream. A channel is nothing but it is an open conduit, either naturally or artificially created, which periodically or continuously contains moving water, or which forms a connecting link between two bodies of water. River, creek, run, branch, etc., and tributaries, etc., are some of the terms used in describing natural channels. A channel storage is nothing but it is the volume of water at a given time in a channel or over the floodplain of the streams in a drainage basin or a river reach. Channel storage is great during the progress of flood event. Whereas a wedge storage is nothing but a wedge-like volume formed between the actual water surface profile and the top surface of the prism storage. This can be estimated by using different laws. So these are the learning outcomes of today's lecture. Before that, let us put a glance on the things which we have discussed in the today's lecture. We discussed about the runoff, the introduction of runoff. After that, we discussed about various definitions like total runoff, surface runoff, direct runoff, hydrograph, rainfall excess, effective rainfall, and channel storage. So the learning outcome of today's lecture is you will be able to understand runoff. You will be able to explain the concept of runoff. You will be able to understand the concept of hydrograph and runoff. And these are the questions for practice. That is, define the terms total runoff, surface runoff, direct runoff, hydrograph, effective rainfall, and channel storage. So these are the questions which are likely to be asked in the examination. So this is all for today. Let us meet in the next session. Thank you.